Oops. See if it puts the right one on there. Hope so. All right, what am I hearing? No, that's the YouTube. Sorry, I'm gonna get out of there. And out of there. And out of there. Sorry, it'll take a second. See if this is actually going. That one's going. A second more. Can I invite this people from this one? I don't know. See, it's not giving us the AIX DSP users. Do I have to log in as... Oh, man. Okay, sorry. I'm going to do this the other way. So whoever's on YouTube, looks like the restream chat is working. If you're on YouTube, hi YouTube. If you are on Twitch, let me know. If you're on Periscope, yeah, I really want to know how that works. Facebook seems to, it's crazy. Facebook seems to be working, which, given what keeps happening, it's weird, but whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's enough. See some messages. Okay. Just about up. So what do I need to see? Sorry. Okay, anybody out there that's got Zoom? I think I have Zoom working, so if you want to come on, let me know. I suppose I could remix this thing for Connor real quick, but okay, there we go. This is my audio again. Hopefully that didn't just garble everything up. Yeah, I still don't know how that works with the backgrounds. Let's see. Yep, no, that's fine. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Who else? Yeah, I don't know how to invite the Ooh, why am I hearing? I'm going to channel 4. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely be trimming the beginning of this. Sorry. Start recording. Okay, we're recording. So yeah, if you're on Zoom, you want to come on, let me know. I'm watching the restream chat. I can kind of see everything else. So welcome to dropping in at Pipeline Audio. I think this is number 63, and this is Glenn has no metal support, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I still can't really figure out this YouTube events thing with Restream. Like, you see those channels where people are waiting, it says like waiting for a host to start. It says shows set reminder when it's in your subscription, so you can click on the show early and it'll say show starting in whatever, waiting for show to start. I really can't get it to work, and Tom Jump has helped me a bit, but I can't really figure it out. And yeah, if anybody could help me with setting up the YouTube events ahead of time, that would be awesome. Okay, so right now, this is one of those things, having a compatibility issue where we brought a mix into here, and then when the guy takes it back home, you can't open up the stuff. I want to talk about that in a little bit, doing Reaper projects from place to place. But he says he has Amplitude and he can't open it. But he says I have Amplitude X64. Well, I've got Amplitude X64. Sorry. So for some reason, it's installed the wrong version of Amplitude. And, you know, there's a VST3 and VST2. I probably was running a VST3 version. And given the problems with MIDI in VST3, it probably shouldn't have been. And given the problems with MIDI in Amplitude, I probably shouldn't have been. But, you know, whatever. We'll figure that out. It's always a little bit tricky. This is why I'm really sketchy about copy protection. You know, if it's too hardcore, then you just won't be able to pull up the same mix wherever you're working, and that kind of defeats the purpose of a lot of this stuff. Oops, so I didn't have my Master Effects on for some reason. Why would I do that? That was dumb. Okay, sorry. So that should be on now. I'm a little less organized than even my normal not organized, but that's my thing. I would like some help setting up YouTube events. You know what I'm saying? So you get to see that an event's coming up, and then if you get in there early, it says waiting for hosts to start, and you can still chat and do all that stuff. When I do it, as soon as I hit the start streaming thing in OBS, it just starts the thing up. So I'd really like some help with that if anybody knows. And I gave a try with that Yellow Duck software to try and stream to Instagram this week, and I didn't really have any luck with it. Anybody who's running Yellow Duck, let me know. I'd like to talk to you about that, because that sounds like a good idea. I just couldn't get it to do anything sensible for me. So next thing is, okay, so I was watching this show the other day. I think Glenn actually mentioned some of our products on there. I'm not sure, but, you know, Glenn Fricker's Spectre Sound Studios. What was it? What let me find this. I'm sorry. Let me find the episode. It was Spectre Sound Studios. Oh yeah, the problem bass note killer, or everything in music has already been done. He was talking about having a problem in Reaper. Oh yeah, that's right. So he did a show on our No DQ, annoying bass killer. Go check that out. That's let's see. So this is it. AIX No DQ, the problem bass note killer. Go check that out. And subscribe to Glenn if you aren't, because if you aren't, you really suck. So just go do that. But he was having a problem with Reaper and the I guess in the interface on a live stream. He was having trouble with the UI keeping up, and so he's talking about switching to a different DAW that wouldn't be so resource intensive, or making trouble or something. I forget what he said exactly, but I'm sure most of you guys are sitting there and you're like, what in the hell uses less? You know, what if Reaper's going to make trouble? Everything's going to make trouble. I mean, like, I know I got a lot of bias there, but I think even you guys who don't like Reaper probably will admit that, right? And the problem may have partially been just when you're doing streams, like I have a hard time doing a whole live band at super low latency while I'm also streaming through OBS and everything. That could be part of it. I don't think he was doing that much, but still, yet that could be part of it. I think he does 4K video too, so it's a lot of stuff to crunch. But I asked Justin Frankel, the Reaper guy, you know who he is, the drama, the Llama King, right? I said, I told him about the problem, and Justin and his incredible psychic intuition, he said, "Oh, make sure he's running Reaper 6, and is he on OS X?" I'm like, "Yes, he's on OS X, and I thought he was running Reaper 6. I don't know, so I went and asked, and sure enough, Glenn was on 5. But I didn't think that should have mattered. But turns out that Justin says, "Oh, hopefully he'll try 6. Metal support made a huge difference." And I'm like, metal support? It's Glenn, man. It's all the metal in the world. What do you mean metal support? If anybody's got metal support, it's Glenn Fricker. But I guess it's not the same metal support. So, I asked, and Justin said it's an API that Apple added in OS X 10.11. And in order to get reasonable performance on some Mac displays, you have to use it. So that kind of explains it. Hey, Ari, I was hoping, I don't know if you have Zoom. If you want to come on, we're doing a live stream right now. I'd love to have you on. I'm just covering some other stuff real quick. But yeah, let me know. Hopefully that's how you say your name, Ari Aronovich. Anyway, so Glenn's problem appears to be, and he said that this actually made a difference going to Reaper 6, was that he didn't have metal support. So that the truth is, as shocking as it sounds, and you should probably have the children leave the room right now, Glenn Fricker did not have metal support. Is that even believable? Anyway. So that's the thing. If you're running a Mac and you're on one of the newer, one sec, give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm on now. I'm trying to get Ari on here right now. I got Zoom working, so hopefully it actually does things. Okay, so if you're on OS X 10.11 or higher, and you're having trouble with your video updating, your UI updating speed, looks like you need metal support. So let's everybody get on Reaper 6. So I guess Glenn needed to buy a new version or whatever, and that was the issue. But it seems like it's working now. So get on Reaper 6, that's how you do it. Just check. So how do I, if I'm on Zoom, how do I get the invite thing? I put up the Zoom. Is that showing on the screen? Yep. And so if I want, then I want a more, no, that's not invite. Participants. Oh, yeah, so that's what I do. I just click invite. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to go through this, go through what we got here. So on Reaper 6.1, I don't know if we got the what's new. Sorry, let me go through this. So there's probably a bunch of stuff like, John Tidy always goes through and really just explains everything that's on here. So I'm just going to hit some highlights if there are any. I'm sure there are some, but Let's see if this works. So I'm just gonna throw on that. Hopefully, if anything talks, I'll actually hear it. So where is the Reaper thingamabobber? Okay, sorry. I one of these days I might have to do a Vern and get more screens. Actually, I don't know why that zoom doesn't show up on that screen. There we go. Okay. So let's see. There's ARA preserve edits when user blah, blah, preserve edits. So it looks like some ARA fixes. That's audio random access. That's what lets Melodyne and other things work really seamlessly inside DAWs nowadays, which is really awesome. Some automation fixes, some JS fixes, add MIDI note sanitizer. I wonder what that is. Okay, this is cool. So on the JSFX MIDI logger, show note ons is slightly green, note offs is slightly red, add note on, note off, analysis mode, sequential or group by note. That sounds handy. That's awesome. So some more JSFX fixes. Knobs re-show mouse cursor if UI element is destroyed while being edited. I don't know if you've seen that. If you have, that's probably going to make you happy. On the Linux build, so does that mean we really got Linux? How many guys out there are really using Linux with Reaper? That's quite interesting. Well, let me know, because that'd be really cool. Besides Jack Winter, I'm sure he's using it. So Linux allow list view, column rendering, reordering in Project Bay, Media Explorer, etc. Who knows what that is? That may just be getting the Linux version working the same way as the other ones do. Mac OS fixed track routing window. So some Mac fixes. MIDI add option to display notation text in piano roll. What? Add option to display notation text in piano roll. Okay, let's just add a MIDI item real quick, and let's take a look. Hopefully this ain't gonna break anything. Open in MIDI editor. Well, that didn't happen. Open. Not sure if I can do this in while I'm in record mode. Yeah, I guess we can't do that. Sorry. That seems interesting. I gotta look into that. Send note offs when changing project tempo during playback. Send note offs when duplicating active take. Okay, good. Some Media Explorer fixes, metadata fixes, some rescript. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Snap project markers and regions following setting for snapping cursor. Thank you. Improve unsnap movement of rulers, marker region edges. We'll see how that works. VST fixes. Video fix, video playback for media that was previously forced offline. Fix possible crash when removing reversed video item. We can reverse video items? Awesome. Wildcards. Add author wildcard for recording, rendering, file conversion. Add marker wildcard for render batch converter. Name or number of first marker and render tile. If you guys do a lot of drum samples and stuff, the wildcards and especially the batch converter are something you're constantly using. Anyway, John Tidy at Reaper Blog is going to go and explain every single one of these changes in painstaking detail. So you don't want me to do that. He'll get it. So the next thing is, what did I have here? Okay, so this is Chris Morgan had some Reverb Nation stuff. I shared it with whoever I could. I don't know if you remember last year when some IP trolls who were hired by a lot of kind of big companies, Warner Music Group among others, among pretty much all of Bollywood as well, were laying claim to my speaking voice, to any sound that came out of my room. And I really had to get a lot of help. That was Audio Micro and AdRev were the IP trolls that were persecuting me. I mean, there's no real way to say it. Facebook was no help. No, YouTube wouldn't answer. I mean, I was just getting DMCA'd and blocked and just left and right. And something's happening to this Chris Morgan. Let me pull it up because he. I mean, I had this queued up and then I clicked out of it like an idiot. Let me just get back to where he was, and I'll explain this to you in a second. I don't know why this Zoom thing doesn't go to the background. Come on, Zoom. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm being terrible today. Usually I'm always disorganized, but usually it's a little bit more organized than this. So Chris Morgan says, so I had him make a too long, didn't read kind of thing. Okay. So this is what Chris Morgan had to say. Reverb Nation. Oh, and Chris Morgan is he's got like the progressive power metal, whatever, Seasons of Change. You go check it out. Just check out. Yeah, just type in Seasons of Change and you'll find it. So what happened to him? Reverb Nation released my songs under a wrong artist name. No one could find the music I advertised under my name, Seasons of Change. The other artists, Seasons Change, got the benefit of foot traffic from my songs being in his page, which I paid for and advertised, etc., at the negligence and lack of care for its musicians from Reverb Nation. So, I respectfully asked you, hi Reverb Nation, will you please correct my artist name on Spotify? It's Seasons of Change, not Seasons Change. If you are paid to release someone's artwork and intellectual property, music, you have to get the name right. It's just professional. Half of music is the name. Reverb Nation is supposed to be a company for musicians. Well, at least get their names right. P.S. was told by Reverb Nation that this situation was not their responsibility and that they sent a request to separate my songs from that artist. Not actually correct the problem. Wrong artist name, Season of Change. Wow. You know, this is his side of the story, but, you know, I'm perfectly willing to believe it, given what I went through. So it looks like he uploaded his music. I mean, Reverb, pays Reverb Nation to go and put his music onto Spotify. And as much trouble as I have with DistroKid, this is kind of why I haven't heard this kind of problem from DistroKid. So, you might want to go there. But that's, I'm having my own problem with DistroKid, so I'm not necessarily recommending them, but I don't think they have this problem. But so they put his stuff on, and I have to add a thingy. Let me see if I can figure out how this works. Sorry. So because they didn't put the of in there, somebody else is getting. I guess he paid for some exposure, advertising, whatever, and this other band gets the benefit of it. And so he's been asking. So here was yesterday. Update: they closed the ticket this morning and posted this at the end of the post. Customer service, my ass. Reverb Nation, first, you already closed the ticket this morning, so posting this is a joke. Yeah, I tried that. This is just a back and forth between what they were supposed to do. But you get the form letter, right? So this is what they said to him. Chris Morgan, thank you for reaching out and sorry for the trouble. It appears that our distribution team is currently troubleshooting you via ticket, blah, blah, blah. Please direct all questions regarding that. And I'm going to guess that when he actually stayed on the correct ticket, let's see, how do I see that somebody's waiting. How do I let you in? Usually when you do this thing, yes, you got the ticket. and you did the right thing with it, but turns out that they got a form letter on the ticket and they don't actually even have that. So poor Chris, because that's how this stuff goes, and we'll see how this saga goes. But poor guy, I guess you just got to be really verbose and make sure you. I don't know a way around this. This sucks. I just ordered some bike parts this week and definitely checked the right thing, says the right thing in my order, and I got the wrong parts in. So this kind of thing happens. But be careful with Reverb Nation is all I'm saying. And I have Ari Aronovich on here. Is that how you say it? Can you hear me? I hear you. No, why don't I hear you? Let me make sure that I'm not. Let's see. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. I got audio. How you
Yeah.
doing? Yep.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm we're alive here so far.
All right. That's good.
So so you made some videos of our stuff, and
Right.
you actually intuitively found a bunch of junk that we need to fix, so that's good. And that's always a why you want that stuff out there. What do you normally do? What do you got a studio out there, or where are you?
I'm in Israel.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's far. Usually, actually, I'm a live sound engineer. Like, I work especially with metal bands,
Aha.
tour and stuff, and work in Israel. And yeah, I also actually just quit the studio I was in the beginning of the Corona time. But yeah, I mix a lot at home. I have here a really small studio setup, which works, and I mix here a lot. That's mainly what I do.
Cool. I got a thing from what's the guy, Drew Brashler, the X32 guy, that they use plugins live, and I didn't know what he was talking about. There's Waves X Grid. What is that? Is that it's for X32s or whatever?
On X32,
Yeah.
you can maybe you mean like the how it's called, the sound grid.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it's okay. SoundGrid.
Yeah, so it's like an external server that works if you have the how it's called, the expansion card from Waves. So you have like a network connection, and you have a latency of 1 millisecond or something like that.
Ah.
And you have an external server that actually loads whatever plugins you want with the sound grid from Waves, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But they don't have like third-party software running on that, right? It'd just be the Wave stuff, I would assume.
I think they have some like really certain Brainworks plugins that they can load.
Ah. Yeah, maybe
Or
that's what he
something
was
like
talking
that.
about. Okay, I guess we got to
What?
talk to them.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
awesome.
Yeah, but I think it's like 99.9% Waves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was asking. He's like, okay, he asked for a couple things to make it so that they could use it live, and I'm like, are you guys running computers so that you can? I can't imagine, because the USB
Yeah.
driver on those isn't that good. That comes with it. If you put a different card on, fine, but the USB driver is pretty
Yeah,
bad.
like you can also use just a native, just with a USB, as if
Yeah.
you were using it as an audio interface. But then you have like I don't know, maybe a 10 millisecond round trip.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I have I don't know if you ever seen I have a web page that's actually it's for our music school. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's round trip latency roundup. So
Okay.
we have I don't know if you probably can't see my screen. Sorry.
Yeah, I can see your screen in the Zoom, and actually I'll try to. Oh yeah, now I see it in Facebook, but oh yeah, thank you, Chrome. I need to open it in Safari just a sec, because Chrome sucks.
Well, I have I don't know how I'm running this. I could do the screen share on Zoom, but oh yeah, that looks right. So I have a M32 here, so I tested a bunch of different cards for it and everything, and then I just
Yeah.
test whatever cards people send, or I have people test them in different
Oh shit.
places. So I
zooming,
have
but-
Sorry.
yeah, the USB card is not that great. Jim Roseberry said getting it under 13 milliseconds is kind of sketchomatic anyway. So
Yeah, it's there for multi-track recording.
yeah.
So it works perfect if you want just to plug a USB cable and record 32 inputs, no problem. But for actually working with it live, no.
Hey, look, it's Alex Nosla from Lancaster Audio. Hey there, Alex. So anyway, that's for that. What do you I have a music school over here, and one of the things that was cool about the X32 type setup is I got an X32 in one of our big teaching rooms. I have an M32 in my room, and then we use an S32. In fact, I wonder if I can pop my drum cam up. I don't think I can right now, actually, but there's an S32, the stage snake thing from Midas, sitting out in their big room next to the drums, and the drums are always mic'd up. And
Yeah.
so both rooms, because the networked nature of the Behringer stuff, can use the same S32 at all times. So you could be in either room working and get to those inputs. And
S32, you mean the stage box or the rec version?
The-
The
stage box.
yeah. Okay.
Oh no,
Okay.
sorry, it's not an S32. It's a DL32.
DL, right? Yeah, right.
And so anybody in the school that's plugged on into an X32 or my M32 or whatever has access to those same mic preamps all the time. So they always have the drums mic'd up wherever they are, and it's really handy. But it's not really it's like a point-to-point network rather than a distributed one. So I
Yeah.
may be moving back to for instance, even with the M32, I took the USB card out and put an ADAT card in, and I'm using that with an RME Digiface USB. And so
For
the RMEs
recording?
yeah, for recording and everything. So it's just much better drivers, way lower round trip latency, and way less CPU use, and just less trouble.
Right.
So I may go back. I have piles of mic preamps with ADAT outs. Yeah, I might just go back to that and then just run real long ADAT cables to the other computers in the other parts of the school. But that's a pain. So I was looking at that Motu, or I don't know if it's Motu, but that AVB system. And Tim Gray, who sets up a lot of the network audio in the American Southeast and South and stuff, he says if I thought Dante was a pain, that AVB was even worse. So I don't know. Have you ever had any experience with AVB?
Just a bit because, I tried to record the AVB with from Avid consoles from the SXL, but they don't work with the Mojave, which I have on one of my laptops, and now I have Catalina on the second one here, and it also doesn't work with. So I don't know why. It's supposed to be pretty easy, just connect the network and run for it, but because of my operating systems, I could never get it to run actually. So I guess it's kind of a pain in the ass.
So which one were you using? One of the, was it like the mode to MADI to AVB box, or what were you using?
No box, just again straight network to the Mac.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the beauty of these network solutions, right? You should just be able to put an Ethernet card up and
Exactly.
work. And but I really had a bad time with the Dante stuff, and I don't know. So
Yeah, I heard a lot of complaints about the Dante, but actually, it usually works. I had just one problem one time when the IP address couldn't get the right IP address or something. But I recorded with Dante. I guess most of my recordings I've done, and actually it works pretty good for me. More than 50, 60 channels, whatever. just works. But I hear a lot of complaints about it,
Yeah.
so I don't know why.
Which Dante were you using? What were you using?
Again, straight from it's usually Yamaha consoles, so just straight to the network of the Mac, and that's it. Like nothing in between.
So you were using the software version of Dante to get in. So you
Yeah,
weren't using
yeah,
the.
yeah,
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
yeah.
most of my bands they're playing through, so the round trip latency on the Dante thing was pretty on the software version. So I had to buy the hardware version.
Okay.
But even then, it yeah for our yeah I see plenty of people, especially doing this huge channel counts live, that Dante is the most awesome thing in the universe. But for us, it
Yeah.
just never really seemed to work out so well for us. But one of the weird things to me is we were moving in evolution so much that we're starting to see interfaces getting really high channel counts and working really well, and then all of a sudden it kind of stopped. Like either they moved over to networks, or most of the time you see like 4 channel interfaces, or maybe they got an ADAT input or whatever. But
Yeah.
Aside from this RME Digiface USB, or the Motu version, I forget what it's called, something really similar that actually has AVB on it. I'm not seeing that so much. The new Fireface, the new Motus, the ones that aren't AVB and aren't PCI, are the new Motus PCI? There's no PCI ones anymore, right?
Actually, I don't know. I haven't used a PC in like 6, 7 years. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
wow.
Never even checked it. Yeah.
I mean, most stuff is USB now, and it's mostly
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
I think Jim Roseberry said that the PreSonus Quantum was the lowest round trip latency you could get on a USB, even faster than the RME stuff. But I think it's like USB C or something. I don't know what it is. It's
Yeah. Probably.
something new. It'd be crazy that somebody's beating RME. But over here at the school here, we have some Motu PCI cards, like the old 424s, and I'm actually running. There's 4 Mark II Motu 2408s here as well, and those were made in 1998 and 1999, and they're still, if you go and check out my round trip latency chart, they're still among the fastest interfaces out there, and they still
nice.
run. It's crazy in a field where 2 years is ancient. You throw that thing away, those things are still going after 20 years. But but you probably don't have a computer that you stick a PCI card or PCIe card in. That's ancient days. I don't want
Because
that.
the technology is fast enough right now.
Yeah.
Like Thunderbolt to 3, even 2, or USB-C, they just work. You don't need it anymore. I think they're actually faster than PCI.
And that was the promise like 5-6 years ago, was that Thunderbolt was going to be like PCI on a cable, and
Yep.
it sort of happened for Mac. Didn't really happen for Windows, and then now it's sort of kind of happening for Windows, but
Yeah. Well,
US.
Apple just pushed it into the Macs. They switched like all the connectors on the MacBooks
Well,
to USB-C and Thunderbolt, so you just had to go with it. And yeah, the PCs only now they start to put it in the PCs.
and what
Spread
other
range.
what was the other? What's the USB one they're doing now? That's the USB 3, or
The USB-C.
and what is this? C a format, or is that the that's the shape, right? It has that weird new shape.
Yeah, yeah, it's the shape, but the type of the connection, it can be either Thunderbolt or USB 3 or USB 2. So it's like an universal connector USB-C with the and again it can be like either one or a Thunderbolt or USB-C or USB 2 or whatever.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's good for once.
That's why it's a good idea, actually.
Because I remember the carnage and the absolute screaming and war when the Mac stopped offering FireWire on their stuff, and like,
Oh yeah.
everybody had those really good what is it, 2008 or whatever, the aluminum, the MacBook.
Yeah, yeah. The and 910 still, yeah.
And then, yeah, right before that, they changed to the Lucent or the Argier chip or whatever from the Texas Instrument. And I remember
Okay.
our forums at least, the wailing was deafening. It was terrible. But I guess that's all fixed now.
Yeah, yeah,
So no more FireWire, I guess.
yeah. Again, for Mac, I have here a Focusrite, an old one, just to expand my channel count, and if I need it, I just have the adapter from FireWire to Thunderbolt, and that's it. It still works.
Oh wow.
But for PC, yeah, it works perfect. But for PC, you just yeah, you can do it. You have to get a PCI card if you want to, but
Yeah.
it's irrelevant anymore.
Yeah. I have a Liquid 56. And
Yeah.
I had to plug it in so that I could switch it to standalone mode. And
Right.
as long as it never forgets that it's in standalone mode, it should be fine because I could use that as 8 more mic preamps all I want. So that's cool. So
Yeah,
it still
hey-
has some use.
Yeah, yeah. It's I have the Sapphire Pro 40, and you just actually save it like you do a preset, I do all the routing, they save it, and then I just expand it with ADAT with the Apogee I have here, and it never forgets it in standalone mode.
Yeah, mine hasn't yet, so I guess we're okay. Cross your fingers.
They're very reliable, like the Focusrites. They're super reliable most of the time.
So that's one of the things we talk about on this show a lot is so I have piles of those Focusrite Octopre Mark IIs, not the dynamic one, the one where it's just ADAT out, and
Yep.
So much gear, and the Focusrite guys are longtime friends of ours, but
Right.
still yet so much of this gear out there is marketed in a way where they show, hey, this is what the big guys are going to use, but in real life they realize that most people at home are going to use things a certain way, probably a different way, and one of the problems with these things is that they have undefeatable word clock termination. So really, unless you have a word clock distribution system, you can't really use more than one of these at a time. It's kind of a problem. There's kind of a way to get around it, but if you don't think, if you think you're going to be used in the bedroom or whatever, they're definitely not going to have a word clock distribution system. And those things have
Right.
gotten so expensive lately for no reason. Like any other technology gets cheaper, and these things, you used to be able to buy for $100. You could buy I forget how many outputs it had. The art unit had. There's a couple others, and now like you got to go buy some like $500 thing or the crazy antelope thing for $1,000 or whatever. And I would really try and make things evidence based and science based. And when it comes to word clock claims, at least as far as anybody's ever been able to ABX or actually prove anything in the listenable realm, I really don't really believe in word clock magic so much, but you need a working word clock that actually works, and
Yeah.
that's what makes this difficult too, because I have all these things. I could just go stick them in all the rooms and hook them together with ADAT, but because I don't really have a way to distribute word clock to them, I'm kind of screwed. I could tee them,
Right.
but since they all are going to have terminators on them, that's just bouncing the signal back through the chain and making some crazy problems. So I don't know what's out there new with the 8-channel to ADAT kind of thing. I see the Behringer 8200 that definitely makes the really audiophile people freak out because it says Behringer on it. But as far as I know, that thing actually tested pretty good, right?
Yeah, I heard. Actually, I think a friend of mine was a live sound engineer. He uses like a lot of auto tune live, so he routes things through his Mac. Also, he just bought it, and he's really impressed with it, and he hates everything. So I still haven't heard it, But yeah, I heard good stuff about it. Like, and technology is getting better, even Behringer. So it might just be pretty good, you know.
See, in the early days, I used to troll people. I had I had come out of this really big recording studio, and I had a new partner who ended up, kind of buying up any studio around him. And we had this somewhere. I got a pictures. We had these racks, these walls that were racks, and they were full of every boutique mic preamp you could think of.
Yeah.
And but I had an oscilloscope and I had a lot of test gear, and really I tested this stuff, and for the most part, in their linear range, most of these things were pretty similar. And so
Yeah, exactly.
we'd be doing these videos where they'd be filming us recording a band, and we're sitting in front of this rack of like Neves and APIs and all this. I mean, we had everything, all the Manley stuff. And I'm using like Behringer 8000 mic preamps to record the drums just to troll people. And back then YouTube wasn't really around, so you were kind of just sharing videos on what is that, Daily Motion or something like that. And but that was my thing. We're actually testing this stuff, and let's see if that what it does, and but yeah, there was problems with that 8000. Like it really didn't. If you could test, and you could see on the test that it wasn't as good as some of the better mic preamps. Not that the super high-end boutique ones were all that good. A lot of times they did their own weird thing to it, and I didn't, I wanted a straight wire with gain. But that 8200 was supposed to fix most of the stuff. And I remember I'd have 8000s. A lot of our customers would buy those things for their home studios, and the power supply would just blow up on them. Or two channels would be really noisy and the rest would sound okay. But they said the 8200 really fixes all that stuff,
Yeah, well, that's just like cheap build quality. I think it doesn't like. It depends if they just build it with cheap materials or like workers, or is the technology bad? Like it's two different things. And
well, the circuit is probably pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, like you will probably distinguish it sound wise when you have a high channel count.
Yeah.
And then I guess the harmonic content is already, if it's too noisy, you'll get much more noise.
Yeah, I think.
But
I did a test between the M32 and I don't know if you've seen them. There's this one called the XR18. It's just a 16 channel, but it's got a USB sound card. $500, and it's really good little thing.
Yeah.
I did a test where they're comparing that with the M32's mic preamps, and it was pretty close. It was just a little bit noisier. But the noise was really far down, so I don't know that you're gonna, if you had 20 channels going, you'd probably hear it maybe. I don't know, but in general,
yeah, you can hear some hiss again because I work with it actually live, like on bigger PA systems, so you can hear a hiss when it happens. Yeah, so you can hear the difference between good preamps and bad preamps. But even the cheaper ones, they work. Like it doesn't really matter. I think the internal processing on the mixers is more important in this case. Like how the EQs are designed and the summing of the mixer is very, very important in this case.
So I'd just be using these things just straight as mic preamps. So I have this one where I actually tested these things, and I think I remember the noise was, where is it? Yeah, the Midas's noise was actually a little bit lower than the XR18. But man, still, you get a killer for $500. You get 16 channels of recording. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm thinking, the 8200s come with ADAT in and out, so I could sync them that way. So it'd be sad if I can sync the Behringers and I can't sync the Focusrites. But I guess I could just buy a. I think Black Lion had like a 4-out word clock distributor. It wasn't crazy money, So, but I don't know what else is out there right now. The 8200s. I saw a Midas one that's ADAT out only, and I haven't gotten an answer when I asked if the word clock inputs were terminated or not. What are you seeing out there? Are you seeing any good deals on 8-channel to ADAT mic preamps?
I think you have the Focusrite, the how it's called, not the Scarlet, not the Claret, the next level, the one that works with Dante.
Oh shoot, I don't know. That doesn't sound affordable for me.
RedNet, yeah.
Yeah, see,
The
I had the
RedNet.
RedNet PCI card for a little bit.
Okay. And what, it didn't work for you?
It was just the Dante in general was not not the kind of performance I
Okay.
expected. I like the network aspect, though, especially for a school, because that means that any room in the school had access to the same stuff, which is awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking, what can I get for cheap that I can send around here? I don't know if there's ever been an ADAT distribution system. It's just so weird that
I really didn't know about it.
you think about like the machine that those were built for, right? When people pretty much stopped buying ADATs by 1999, maybe 2000, right? I mean, that was the end of those things, but we still use that format, at least the light pipe. And what does Elisa's have nowadays? They got like this pitiful little web page. It's kind of sad because they really help shape so much of what we do in our world, and we don't really think about them anymore, for the most
Yeah.
part. It's crazy that format has lasted, so long, more than 20 years,
Right. Well,
And I guess there's Maddie too and everything else. But like I got you on here so you could talk about what if there's anything you need to promote or let people know about. People usually watch this after the fact, after I edit them and put them back up. But
okay.
what are you
If I
doing at
wanted
your
to
place? You got are you guys locked down from this situation right now?
Um. Yeah, like again, because I'm a live sound engineer,
Oh
so
man.
I haven't been on a concert for 2 months
Oh
actually.
man.
And my girlfriend is also, she's a student, but she's a cello player and she plays in an orchestra and bands and sessions. So we are both kind of out of our main work.
Oh man,
So we
that's
just
hard.
have like small stuff going in, like some studio jobs. But mainly, yeah, we're here like doing stuff. So I'm trying to work on my YouTube channel,
Good.
which is like very new. So trying to pull off like more interesting tutorials, like not the usual type of secrets. 3 secrets you have to know about EQ
Oh my
stuff, not this
god.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if
Uh,
you ever seen how much I hammer on these hype channels. Like I cannot stand them. Like
yeah,
it drives me nuts. I think I don't think a show goes by where I don't talk about that kind of thing. But I
yeah. There's a
kind of
lot of bullshit out there.
yeah. That's what it is. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it drives me nuts. I lived while Reaper was being built, and before, I lived like
yeah,
right next to what used to be the marketing wing of Mix Magazine and Digidesign and everything. Was these schools, these
yeah,
recording schools in Arizona that really were where they pushed all that stuff out from, and so I've always had like a little bit of a bias against that stuff, and
right.
nowadays where so much of it is driven by these, like how live sound kind of got taken over, at least in America, by the mega churches, the really big
Yeah, right.
ones with the giant auditoriums and stuff. It's starting to be recording, and I was watching these recording alleged education channels on YouTube, and you start seeing the same things that all the mega church prosperity gospels say, and the tactics they use, and the multi-level marketing things they're talking about. And I'm like, are you really starting to invade my industry? It's very upsetting, to watch all this hype and just total preaching and everything from these guys that are supposed to be talking about science. Really
Yeah, well, that's
objective stuff.
when you deal with religion, they will actually just try. If this industry can get you money, they will go for it.
Yeah,
You know? And it's a big industry.
yeah. it's just sad to see that, this Soul Harvest style stuff, but they don't
Yeah,
usually, they're not usually all that upfront about it, but they sure
of
are
course.
upfront about the money, 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 money.
Oh yeah.
Like everything is just, yeah, pay for this. If you pay extra, you get this course too. And you're like, man, come on, guys. Like, it's so frustrating because I have some, when I was brought up in the recording industry, I was taught by people who believed certain things about types of circuits, and has to be tubes, has to be Class A discrete, and anything else is horrible. And you can't measure it, but you can totally hear it. And I believe that, and I would when people ask me advice, I would tell them to buy these really expensive things, even though scientifically I knew better. But I was taught and I was indoctrinated in this thing. So a lot of my life is penance for being that almost audiophile silly. So I do test things, and I really, so that these kind of hype channels, like the 5 secrets you must know about mixing after you buy my course, and then they make all these faces. I'm reacting to this. Oh my God. Like, oh, these guys just drive me nuts. So yeah, tell
Yeah.
them what your channel is. What's the YouTube?
The YouTube is Mix Big. Yeah, I started again like 2 months ago. It started actually with we've done a cover with my girlfriend for Devin Townsend song Super Crash, and Devin Townsend is like a crazy musician, and we wanted to do it on a cello, like so all the parts like distortions, leads, and vocal parts are done with electric and acoustic cello, and we recorded everything in this room. So we uploaded this one, and then I decided to do a tutorial about how I've made the like different sounds from a cello, how to make it sound like a guitar, or how to make it sound more like a choir kind of vibe and everything. And then I went I think to your video, like to the IC compressor.
Yeah.
And I have just a 4th video now up, which is about it's both a review but more a tutorial about yeah, exactly, about a new plugin that's called FA Armageddon, and it's like a super crazy nice impulse response loader, and you can really mix like control the small aspects of every impulse, and mix it delay wise and phase wise, and like even stretch the impulse and stuff, and you can like create dial a tone as if you were mixing as if you were miking a cab or different cabs, and very intuitively. So I really liked it, and I wanted to show people like actually how to make a sound, how to make a guitar sound, instead of like how to search for just a certain amp sim or a certain impulse response, which most of the time just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And yeah, a few more ideas I'm still working on and trying to get like even more interesting concepts. And especially after my last video, there are like few comments on Facebook. People are like, you cannot not EQ a guitar. You have to low cut. You have to high pass. You have to do. You don't have to do anything. Do you have excessive low end? Then cut it. If you don't have it, don't cut it. Like people don't understand the concept of it's not what. There are no rules of something you have to do. Again, like those videos, 3 steps you have to do every time on a mix.
I was gonna say that there are guys who will not accept it's mixed by numbers all the way. So if you, so you have to, you still have to do it, and then you could turn it off maybe, but it's like they're compulsive about they have to follow these rules. But the rules may change the next week because the guy needs more video views, so he's going to change the rules on him and say, oh yeah, no, you throw all that stuff that I said. This is the new rules. So you absolutely have to do this and you have to do that. Like, oh man.
Yeah, it's great. It's like everybody thinks phase is a bad thing. Well, no, phase is how your ears hear. Yeah. It's like in the real world. You cannot hear anything without different phase relationships. So now I'm playing with a concept of actually comb filtering, and like all the tiny microsecond delaying the same source to
Oh
try
wow.
to get different sound out of it. All this kind of stuff, and it actually can work like really, really good. Like change the way a bed source sound and make it sound good, for example. And
Wow.
like I think for most people, something like this will be like, no, it's crazy. You're ruining, you're phasing the sound. Well, no, I'm just the sound is already is
Yeah.
already have different phase stages. Nothing is like 100% coherent. So you do whatever you want with it, as long as it sounds good and it works with other stuff like other channels.
Yeah, you live sound guys have a very different perspective you bring to the table. So like, it's weird because you guys kind of work the opposite way. The sound better come out first. I can make it improve as the night goes on, but man, you better hear everything that guy says, and you better hear everything they play. Period. Whereas us, we're like, okay, wait, let me tweak this snare. I don't care if they don't hear anything else. I'm just gonna mess with this snare for a little while. So it's crazy just how fast you guys get what we think is 90% of the mix done. And it's
Yeah,
you're looking at it a different way. So if anybody has to care about phase, it's you guys. Like forget us. We could turn it off. So if you're saying something about phase, I'm gonna listen.
yeah. I think like when you do live sound, and I've been doing it for more than 10 years, in like all, it's not like you're sitting at the same studio, even if you switch like 5 studios. Like no, every day you're in a completely different venue. It can be like anything from a small, tiny bar to a huge open space festival, and you hear like the way you perceive sound is already a bit different than the way you perceive sound when you just sit
Yeah.
all day in the studio and hear like it's not like you're hearing your monitors, you're actually hearing sound,
Yeah.
and you know how it interacts. And when you go with the same band on a tour like for 30 days, and you can hear how every day differs, when the same source is exactly the same way, they play the same way, everything is tuned the same, but it changes so much from day to day. So I guess, and you have to react at like in live in real time. So yeah, I think you get a different understanding of what source is, how it should sound, and what phases are, and how they interact, and all this kind of stuff. Which I don't know if it probably takes you just more time and more experience to understand some of these things when you work only in the studio.
Yeah. I had it explained to me one time that the PA engineers understand pretty quick what things are going to have an impact on the audience, and how to talk to the audience a little bit better than we do, because we're not thinking about that, and it really takes that, because your live guy, if the audience isn't reacting, either the band completely sucks or you're doing a very, very bad job. And for us, we're not even thinking about the audience. We're like, how does that snare sound? Could it use a little bit more
Exactly.
2K? And the audience doesn't care about that crap. They want they
Yeah.
want to be impacted. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is a
Like most of the time, if I'm doing monitors, I'm looking at the stage. But if I'm not doing monitors, I don't know if it's wrong or right. I won't look at the stage as much as I will look at the audience actually, because I may be hearing something and it's like, okay, I enjoy it, maybe it's good. But if I look at the audience, and it doesn't matter even if the band is good or bad now, if I like the music or not, if they're playing like tight or not, but if I see the audience is bored or they're not engaged enough, I will actually do things again in real time to try to make it more exciting, or more, I don't know, if it's an acoustic show, maybe different effects, more make it more spacey, just to make it more atmospheric. I'll just try to see what the audience feels right now, because there is always a certain energy in the room, and I will try to fix it like immediately.
yeah. That's cool. So as much as I can't stand most of these reaction videos, I do like the legitimate kind of organic ones, and I know Devin Townsend's actually been doing some lately. Did he
Right.
see your cello one yet?
Yeah. He did like it. Somebody posted it
Oh, cool.
on his I don't know if it was Twitter account or one of these, and I had like oh yeah, man, it's so crazy, so cool. So yeah, you've seen it.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, and actually, so far it had like few thousand views, and yeah, I hope it gets some more. Actually, we're trying to get even more. Like we will upload more interesting cello covers, like not the standard like classic playing, but more kind of because I'm a guitar player. We're actually working on how to play a bit like a guitar on a cello.
Oh, wow.
So we'll have these kind of videos also coming for more interesting stuff, like more like metal and distorted stuff, which is pretty hard to pull off on cello. Yeah. Excuse me.
So we had, I was looking for. Let's see. Do you ever do the YouTube events thing? Like I've been trying to lately figure out how to make it so like I see some channels where it says upcoming event, and then there's like a waiting room until you
Like
actually
the
start
premiere,
the stream. Yeah, not
like
just
the
the
live.
premiere one, but the you could be doing a live stream, but there's actually a waiting room ahead of time. I use Restream with OBS, so like if I
Okay.
hit the start streaming thing, it actually starts that event right away. So I can't get the YouTube events to work the way I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, I still again because I'm still new and I'm still not confident enough in doing live. So yeah, I haven't tried it yet. So yeah,
I, I just
can't help this one.
I just figured not too many people will watch, so if I mess it up live, it doesn't matter. So mine isn't
Yeah.
mine isn't perfect. Uh,
Yeah.
I have people on from time to time, and just it's kind of an archive of techie techie junk. Usually I run through Quora and see what's going on, and somebody asked a question the other day, do you still use FireWire and why? And I'm like, wow. I don't, but we were just talking about that, right? You might need that
Yeah.
FireWire to switch your old thing over. I know PreSonus like kind of like dropped support for their Fire. They didn't make drivers for Windows 10, I think, for their FireWire devices. I'm sure RME still does, but do you know anybody that's still running actual FireWire in their studio for stuff?
Um. Well, again, maybe people who are stuck with the older equipment, like yeah, no, I can think of somebody that still runs FireWire at least willingly. Like nobody buys older equipment that like the Focusrites, like the Sapphire I have here, which is far. I think nobody will buy it today unless they have like a FireWire already works. Like the again the USB-C is just more it's faster and more reliable. So yeah.
Well, it's funny. A lot of these guys who answered, they're running the Focusrites, the Sapphires. So I guess if you really love your Sapphire, you're gonna find some way to run the damn thing, I guess. But yeah, it's funny.
Well, it's so reliable that there is no reason to unless like your computer has crashed and stopped working, and you still have an older computer working. The Focusrites are so reliable. They never crash. They work. Again, I have this one for 10 years.
Wow.
And the only reason I did change to Apogee is because I have a small studio here, and I didn't need actually a channel count, so I bought like the Element 24. I have two inputs, two outputs, and I could really hear the difference with the conversion
Oh, wow.
because I'm mixing here. But it's not a matter of like life and death. That's for sure.
Yeah, one of my friends still carries around an old old laptop that had the the cards you can stick in the side, and he had a SIG Texas
Ah,
Instrument
yeah,
Firewire card, and he's got an
yeah.
RME Fireface 800 and two. I forget. I think they're Precision 8s. Two sets of Precision 8s that plugs into those, and yeah, I bet you. I bet you that that thing's gonna run. I think it's on Windows 7 or was it on Windows XP? I'm not sure. It's it's
XP. Wow.
it's running something pretty old. It's still going.
Yeah.
What DAW do you use?
My main one is Cubase. I go like between Cubase 10 and Cubase 10.5 because like every DAW, I guess, but one crashes from different reasons, the other doesn't, and
Oh
like
wow.
I have to go back and forth sometimes.
Oh, that's a
But I
pain.
use mainly Cubase now because I started like with a cracked Cubase 5 like more than 15 years ago. So I just got used to it. And I have Studio One also, which I use sometimes, but yeah, again, mainly Cubase. I think it has like all the options you need.
Oh yeah, that's right. You checked
For
some stuff on Studio One for us, right? That was the.
right, yeah,
We,
yeah,
it's still on, having some trouble with the. Actually, everybody's having trouble with VST3, but I know Studio One gets some weird graphics things going, and I think that's happening to us as well for Studio
yeah.
One.
Actually, the impulse response plugin I reviewed, it doesn't work on Cubase 10.5. Like the interface is just black.
Oh,
And it works only if I use two screens. Like if I drag the window to another screen, then it shows up.
oh, that's
But then if you do
interesting.
any, yeah, if you do any changes to any one of the values or knobs, you can't see it until you drag it again to another screen. And it happens only in Cubase 10.5, for example. It did work perfect on Studio One and Cubase 10.
Oh,
So I don't know what's wrong with Steinberg and their
eh,
VST stuff.
it's a
But
big, huge universe that you got to keep going. It's tricky, you know.
yeah, yeah. Like I was never into building. I'm not a programmer. I understand almost nothing about it. But now I can see why it's such a hard job.
Yeah.
Like developing plugins for each DAW with its own stupid, fuck ups.
Yep.
It seems like a pretty crazy job.
It most certainly it was, and if you get an insane enough person at the helm, it's even crazier, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you knew, but I was very involved in the development of Reaper. Um,
Yeah, I've read about it. Something like that.
yeah, so it's that was a insane ride. Actually, it's funny. Speaking of, I'm looking at this. I was looking around on Gear Sluts today, and this guy was asking, "Hey, why are we still using Shark processors in the UAD ones, or not the UAD ones, the UADs?" And that guy asked, "Is there a very logical and rational reason for UAD to stay in the bumbling, decrepit, snail-paced lane of Sharkland? With the new Apollo X series, they've had the opportunity to bring in a new processor, but stuck with Shark for some reason. I would simply like to know if the firm logic behind staying with this incredibly weak processing technology like this." So the guy's complaining that UA is using the Sharks, which there's still there's a lot of good stuff that runs on Sharks, but this guy answers why. Probably
Shark
since
is like the older processor type.
yeah, it's a DSP type of. I
Yeah.
don't think it's
Okay.
what Axifex uses, but a lot of people use Sharks, and they did for a long time. And so this guy answers, why? Probably since nothing UAD offers in plugins would need anything more than that. They make simple
Yeah.
plugins that require simple DSP. At this point, most native plugins sound better and outperform UAD or any add-on cards. And there's a lot you could argue with, but like Brainworks, they make a plugin that runs on the card and also runs native, and you run a billion of them. And I bought the UAD one when that thing first came out, and it took you more CPU to run that thing than it would. There's a lot of problems, and they never did
Yeah.
fix it, and it really was just a mess. And I try and warn companies about stuff because I'll pull up this next message where somebody else is talking about this, and let's see, where is it? It is. Well, it is what it is. I've been with UAD since the Mackie days. The plugs sound good. The hardware sounds good. Everything runs solid. Good drivers. Customer support is as good as it gets. I have 12 Sharks that never run out of power because blah, blah, blah. I understand Sharks are wimpy, whatever. So this guy says two things. Good drivers and customer support is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
The drivers were horrible. They did work for some things. The UAD one, I don't have really. Everybody says that the newer ones are way better, but the UAD ones the drivers were horrific, and customer support was terrible. They would just tell us that, oh well, we'll fix the DirectX or whatever soon. Like it just didn't work. It was bad, and so Justin, the coder for Reaper. He put into Reaper some serious hack workarounds that would let UAD ones work. And then we were at the NAMM show, and he offered UAD that he would fix their stuff for free. And they said, no, we got a new version coming out. Don't worry about it. And we're like, what about your existing customers that already bought your stuff? Now, that was what? That's 2008. So that was quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, like, it's hard for me to let go of something like that. And I know customers, they got long memories about getting burned, so like it's really going to be hard for them to ever claw their way out of that thing with so many users. And I always warn companies, like, be careful, man, because, and that's why I'm terrified. Like, you'll see me on the tech support on our stuff or back in the Reaper days, so it's just constantly on it. If I could drive over to the person's house and help them, I would, because I tell you, customers got long, angry memories, and if you screwed them, man, they really come back on you. Like it's
I
funny.
think it also depends on like if you're a really big company like Apple, like they can do whatever they want, and people will still use their product. And that's kind of a shame, because people are talking a lot of shit about them, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
But if you're a small company, especially, you really have to take care and like watch after your every step. And I think bigger companies, the good ones, they should learn, like, remember where they came from, and if they want like to get even a more stable or a wider customer range.
Yeah. It's amazing how we've watched the can't possibly fail companies died. I'm sure you got something similar over where you are, but we had this place called Radio Shack in the US.
Right.
That it's a household name, and anytime you need electronic stuff for your soldering or whatever, you would go to Radio Shack. It's there the same way oxygen is there, and the ocean is there, and the mountains are there. And man, they went under,
Oh, really? Because I know the name. Like, Radio Shack is a known name even here.
Yeah, they're gone. They are toast.
Since when? Like, for how long?
I think 5-6 years now. Yeah.
And it was like because of they actually didn't give a fuck about the customers.
I think so. They just stopped. They stopped really being what the customers wanted. And we've seen some big audio companies have that happening. And I'm surprised that I used to get in these knockdown, drag out, get banned from forums and stuff fights with the Matthias from RME, but he always cared about his customers. That wasn't the issue, And those guys are still go to bat for you. I had Motu. My friend had this 896 that was used as the on-air broadcast interface for 3 years, and it finally died. And I called Motu and I said, "Hey, is there any way that we can fix this thing?" And they said, "Well, it's still under the warranty you bought." I'm like, "Are you serious? This thing hasn't been turned off in 3 years, He goes, "Yeah, well, you got to pay for shipping." Like, man,
Sure.
so there are some good companies out there.
Right.
That was crazy. I'm like, you guys are nuts. You got to be losing money on this thing. But
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's like there's a big plugin company, a local one like Waves. Everybody knows about it. It's they're from Israel actually, and I don't want to talk shit about them. Of course, I use them also,
yeah,
but their business model is getting so old, and the update plan is like it's the only company you actually have to pay money. Like I can't use it out of all the plugins by Waves I own. I can use like maybe I don't know 10 of them on my current MacBook because they don't support. I have to get the version 11, and some of them I have the license only for version 9, which doesn't work on Catalina.
oh no.
And well, you have to pay for it. It's like I think it's the only company that still does it. Every other company just gives you updates, and actually like some companies like Plugin Alliance or Slate, where you have the subscription, they just give you more and more and more plugins for much cheaper.
Yeah.
So that kind of business thinking, like again, it's a big company. They know they will keep going for now, and they have their commercial audio where they develop kind of they work with I don't remember Dell or Asus or stuff like that. They develop sound engines with them
Oh
for
wow.
laptops and stuff. Yeah, yeah, they will keep going. That's okay. But the fact that you, as a customer who've paid like thousands of dollars, you still need to pay. I don't know, even if it's $200, like for just an update to keep working on the plugins you already have.
Yeah.
It's like why I don't like I've stopped using it for now because I don't want to pay it. Fuck it.
I
Like
bought a couple Waves plugins, and one of the ones I really like is the Waves Tune, the graphical mode on that. To me, it seemed to be the evolution of where auto tune was going, whereas the other graphical tuning engines that were out there, and there's actually less now than there were back in the day, which is kind of strange. But they were going in a different way, whereas Waves and auto tune would let you directly draw in the pitches, and I really like that. But
right.
they had a rendering problem since I think 2009, and it gets brought up constantly, and every once in a while they say, oh yeah, we're working on it, but they haven't. It's been more than 10 years and they haven't fixed the damn thing. And the other part is so it's, you can't really, you can offline render but only in certain circumstances, so it makes it really hard to use in a productive way. And the other thing was is the resizing of the screen. They still weren't doing it, and I'm like, man, Waves, come on, because this is really like I would take this against any other graphical tuner out there, and but if it doesn't work on offline renders, you kind of screwed, So yeah, what a
Yeah,
bummer.
yeah. I have few stories. I won't share it because I know people who work there, and it's a local company.
Well, tell them to fix it, man. That's I would love it if they
Yeah,
just fix it.
that's the
I'll
thing about fixing it. It's a problem there, fixing it.
ah,
I know it sounds for you, especially like it sounds like it's a basic thing to do. But I guess because again, when you're such a big company, there are different priorities, and you look more to the future.
uh,
And when you have so many customers, you maybe don't even try to preserve them anymore. Maybe I don't know.
I tell you, if they made an update to that Waves tune, I don't care that I already bought it. I'll buy it again. Like
Yeah,
if they it's a great product to me. I mean, I can run Melodyne and stuff, especially because of ARA. ARA is just awesome, but I get better results by being able to pick exactly what I want to happen with the
yeah.
Waves tune one for me. I see guys that blow me away with Melodyne. They're just like, oh no, you just do this and it works fine for them. But I've never got it to do what it just. I think it just works a different way than I want to work, and Waves tune works the way I want to work.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I guess it depends on what you need to hear, what you want to hear. I just do it manually, like on Cubase. It has a great the audio rep engine. I just do whatever because I try never do it like unless I have to, so I don't get that far with the. I have a Melodyne, but I never used it, and I also think I have actually Waves tune, but I again never used it. I think.
So yeah, I need to. I don't even know where to look anymore. So yeah, what do I do? Import my stuff into Cubase and use it on that? Maybe. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's the whole point of why we got reroute.
Right.
Let's see what
Well,
else.
Aaron, I think I will leave you here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's morning again. I didn't expect it to be. It's all right.
Oh
Man.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
Sorry,
expect
sorry.
it that long.
Yeah, no, just Saturday nights I tend to do this. Sometimes Phil Zio's on here, and sometimes Josh.
All
Lee
right, for
Lopez.
you. What time is it right now? When you're in Hawaii, right?
Yeah. So for me, this is it's actually about 10 o'clock at night, and usually we do this a lot earlier. It's mostly Texas time because the other guys are somewhere near Texas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I have like a 12-hour difference with you.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
good. You're on the
Yeah.
other side of the world then, perfectly.
Yeah.
That's why
Exactly.
I always said that the way we got to fix thing is to trade Hawaii for Palestine. So the Palestinians who live here in Hawaii, they'd be perfectly happy, a nice place. And all the Hawaiians, we go to Israel, we fish all day long, and go surf the Mediterranean. It'll all work out good, and we'll have a lot more
That's the thing.
computer
You
programmers.
can't really surf in the Mediterranean. Like you can, but like maybe for a month a year, and the waves are so tiny, and it's not like Hawaii.
Can they
So
fish?
I don't want to disappoint you. You're welcome to come here anyway. But yeah, if you want to surf, Israel is not a place.
What about
yeah.
fishing?
Fish?
Yeah.
There are like a few fish here, but again, no, it's not like nature. Water is not the thing here. I'll tell you that. Everything that's related to water. Yeah.
I always thought that would be the way to fix all the world's problems. We'll just go, yeah, we'll just trade you.
Yeah, well, maybe it will. Maybe it will. Like if they go, like I don't have a problem. Yeah, but if you're someone who suffers or whatever, and you go to Hawaii, I think you will stop. Like your suffering is done. So maybe it's just the way to solve it. Yeah.
All right. Well,
So
cool.
yeah, thanks, Aaron. I'll be going.
All right. And so, yeah, your channel was Mix Big, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah. My channel is Mix Big. You're welcome to check it. Subscribe and like and all those things you do.
And hit that
On YouTube.
notification bell because you know how YouTube
Exactly.
treats independent content creators.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Aaron.
All right. Yeah. I'll see you later.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. Okay. So anybody who's still on here after all that, let's see. What else do we got? I got a Quora question. Would Reaper DAW still be as highly recommended if it were to cost as much as some other DAWs? For example, Ableton Live 10. If you guys were around at the beginning of Reaper, it wasn't a cost issue. No matter how much money you had, the DAWs around at the time couldn't do what I wanted to do. And so I don't care if it costs more. It's still I mean, what else do you have this in anywhere near this kind of development as Reaper is constantly? You got a problem with it, the developer will fix it. You could usually get a hold of them. So yeah, I think it would definitely still be just as highly recommended if it costs as much as Ableton. Come on. And looks like people kind of agree with me, so that's kind of cool. For you guys that follow Phil Zio, his friend that he calls Derringer, I forget what he called. He had a whole name for him. Is back on the Reaper users group. So when we were talking about getting tortured by people that don't want to learn, I get mad when people say, "Let me Google that for you," or just get snarky with noobs and stuff. But there are people who actively don't want to learn, and if you actively don't want to learn, don't get upset when people don't want to help you no more. Let's see. We had, I'm still tripping out on these music channels that you know that there's a thing, you know, there's definitely a weight, a bias where you can get a whole lot more views if you're certain genders, conditions. I don't even know. But you just watch these hype channels with just like millions of views and millions of subs. I'm like, who the hell watches these things? There's so many subscriptions, and you know, I just want to write them all off. But you know, I watched a couple of them, and some were pretty good. So, you know, it's kind of scary. Like that, I guess you know the hypier ones are usually pretty crappy, but I've seen some where it's not really hypey, but they were actually okay. And yeah, there was one. So check this out. There's 9 million views and almost 6 million subs on this thing. Let me see if I can pull it up. And I was just tripping out. Like, it's one of those ones where they constantly make like the crazy faces and stuff. Roomy official. $20 microphone versus 12,500 microphone. You know, it's a C12. You know, we used to have those vintage, right? So guy's got 9 million something views and yeah, like I say, almost 6 million subscribers. I'm like, who the hell? Like, who is this guy? How does he have so many viewers and subscribers? And there's just, oh man, it's just crazy how many views these guys get. Like, what in the world are they doing? And the content looks okay, but it's not. I mean, yeah, it's weird. He was real fair about the comparison too. I think I'm sure people are killing him over what he said, but you know, but the $20 microphone it's pretty damn good. It did have some problems compared to the C12, but just because it's old doesn't mean it's good. You know, that's the argument from antiquity, right? I'm just tripped out how many views this guy has. Like, jeez, man, that is a YouTube celebrity and a half. You know, it's just amazing. And let's see. So I've got a couple times, actually twice in one day, where we're worried about how to send Reaper projects. I think the easiest way to do that is file, save project as, copy and trim, and just save that into a new folder. You know, hit save, and then zip it up and send it. And so after that, you know, then the question is, what are you going to use? Dropbox. I think the free version of Dropbox should be able to hold pretty much any project, and you know, you could delete it after you send it. I know I always hear about Google Drive, but there's always some weirdness with Google Drive. Like, I try and I send it to somebody, and then I tell it, go ahead and share with this person, and then I get a call from them that they can't open the thing and it has to give them permission. And I was like, I already gave you permission when I did it. You know, it's weird. So I don't know if you guys know something besides Dropbox. I know the $6 million home studio, whatever guy, 6-figure home studio, they made their own service, which looks pretty cool. But I think for, you know, I don't want to, you know, diss their business, but I think for most people, some free online storage things should be okay. Just let me know what you guys are using. And wow, this was a long one. I will see you guys next week, and I want to thank Ari for coming on here on last minute notice. I'll see you guys later.